So, you've got some drives to add to your Linux box. You just want to toss some drives into your Linux box, but you read how it's weird and there are all these terminal commands and stuff you've got to do. Today we'll show you how. It's easy, really. Okay, to start off with, we'll just bring up a terminal window. I'm using KDE here, so it's just going to be console for me. Now, I've already tossed the drives in the PC, so they show up here with LSBLK or LS block. And here they are, SDC and SDD. You can tell in LS block that these drives don't have partitions yet. We're going to get that taken care of in a moment. So one of the things I like to do when I'm doing something like this is pull up LS block, pull up block ID, grab my data from LS block, toss it in a text file. And this way I just kind of have a way of double checking to make sure I'm not going to write over the wrong drive. I just double check every time I'm doing this because I do not want to make a mistake. You do not want to wipe all your data off of a drive and then have to, restore from a backup. So next up, we just need to pull up Partition Manager so we can add partitions to these drives. In my particular case, I'm just going to use KDE Partition Manager because that's what I've got. I've got KDE on the system. You can use gparted, you can use cfdisk, you can use fdisk, do whatever you want. All right, so as we can see, we've got quite a few drives on this machine. We're just going to go ahead and select SDC first. And I just double check it. I'll expand the window a little bit. And we'll get in here and where is it? New partition. Create the partition table. And then we need to edit it. Go to new, ext4, and we're just going to give it a label. I guess we'll call it SSD Evo 3. And we're just going to make ext4 and use the whole thing and give it rights to everyone. You'll regret it if you just leave it as root. All right, now we're going to do the same thing to the next one. Make a partition table, make a new partition, ext4, set it to everyone, and we'll call this one Evo 4. And hit OK. And then all we got to do is double check everything and then apply it. And I always read it one last time because there is no going back. And now we get the partitions to get made, which go pretty quick on this system. But even with, SSDs, you get a little bit of a lag time. So those are all done. We quit out of it. And we should see it now. We'll just do an LS block, and there's the partitions. Okay. And they're not going to be in the system yet. We need to add those drives to the fstab, and so that's the next step. Okay, our next step is to pop up sudo block ID, and we want to grab the drive info out of that for the two drives we just added. Copy those, we'll paste those into a text file. Now we're going to grab the UUIDs, and we're going to separate those out just so I have them. And this is just so I have them available when we edit the fstab. I don't have to dig around, and I want to make sure it's absolutely right for each drive. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and move over to Etsy. And if I would not type nano, that would be great. And then we're going to go ahead and copy the fstab to an old file. And of course, you need to do it in sudo. And now we're going to edit the fstab. So we'll sudo nano fstab. All right. And what we can do is get down here and copy the data off of one of the other drives we've already got added. And you can just use Control-Shift-V to paste it in Nano, which is useful. Now we're just going to change the comment just so I know what drive is what in the fstab. And we'll copy that UUID. And then we'll just go over here and wipe out the old UUID for the duplicate drive. And we'll paste this one in with Control-Shift-V again. And you'll notice we need to change the name here of the location. And you'll notice that it says ext4 here. It has NOAA time and 02. Those parameters are outlined in the Arch Wiki. We'll pull that up after I get out of this window and we'll show you what that means. But this is basically what you want in the fstab if you're just going to go ahead and add a new drive. There's some other parameters you can use, but almost always you're going to just pick that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move over to SDD1. And we're going to just wipe out the other UUID and make sure that that's the correct UUID for the other drive. And again, I double check. So I visually check it and then I actually select it just to make sure 100% that it's not wrong. And then we change that to Evo4. And again, same parameters. We're going to write this out, just Control-O to write out, and then Control-X to exit. And at this point, we reboot, and we should have the drives. All right, we're all booted up. Let's pull up Dolphin. And as you can see, drives are showing up now. Pretty easy. We can go to the properties here and just show you that everything looks okay. And so let's go ahead and pull up the Arch Wiki and we'll go over those parameters real quick so you can just see what to look at. All right, so we're at the Arch Wiki and let's take a look at the A time options. The no A time option fully disables writing file access times to the drive every time you read a file. This works well for almost all applications except for those that need to know if a file has been read since the last time it was modified. I always just use NOAA time. Okay, so let's talk about the second option, which is dump, and I always just set that to 0. It just disables the dump check. And finally, the other option is FSCK, or file system check, and I just set that to 2 because I don't like to just disable the file system check. Okay, so there you have it. That's how you add drives to Linux. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. If you didn't like it, you know what to do. If you really liked it, go ahead and subscribe, and that'll really help the channel. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.